I didn't know until I returned home during the Chinese New Year. My parents didn't even say hello. They took over the house I bought in the county and turned it into my brother's wedding room. Faced with my doubts, my brother was playing the game without raising his head. Isn't your house my house? Why do we care so much about it as a family? My dad was smoking a cigarette and glanced at me sideways amid the smoke. You're celebrating the Chinese New Year. Don't say such disappointing things. My mother grabbed my ears hard and said, your brother finally found a wife, but you, the younger sister, just don't help. How can you be so vicious? My neighbor chewed melon seeds and said I was unfilial. Even when I called the police who came advised me to have peace in my family and everything will be prosperous. I smiled and took out a house sales contract. I'm sorry, this home really isn't mine. When I came home during the Chinese New Year and opened the door, I was dumbfounded. In the living room, which should have been silent, the lights were bright. The spacious master bedroom is filled with all kinds of red festive items, leaving nowhere to put your feet. I froze in place. A girl who looked about the same age as me came over and took my suitcase affectionately. Is this my sister-in-law? She took me to the side, into a small room converted from a storage room. This is the room we have prepared for you. The bedding and other things have been laid out. I followed what she said and looked towards the bed. What comes into view is an old-fashioned bedsheet that has been washed and almost faded. It is a bit dazzling in this spacious and bright new house. That was the one I used at home before I went to college, and I have been using it for more than 10 years. My sister-in-law brought me a glass of water to drink, but I ignored her. Sister-in-law. I opened my mouth. No, why are you here? Hearing this, my mother rushed over and carried me to the kitchen. She lowered her voice and said, Duo, your brother is getting older. It's hard to find a wife this year. How difficult it is to find a wife now. You all ask for a house in the city. I think you can just leave this house alone. Why not use it as a wedding room for your brother? I frowned. Incomprehensible. I haven't been home for only a year, so why did my house become his wedding room? Then I suddenly remembered that 3 months ago, when my brother got married, my mother said she felt sorry for me traveling all the way so that I didn't have to come all the way back. It turns out that this was the intention. At that time, I was moved. I converted the round-trip fare into money and sent my brother an 8,888 RUD envelope. When he came back, he not only occupied my house and my bedroom, but also drove me into a utility room that was less than 3 square meters and didn't even have a window. I was sarcastic in my mind. I feel like a fool. Mom, have you ever asked me for my opinion? I couldn't help but ask. My mother immediately raised her eyelids, put her hands on her hips, and poked me. It's ridiculous. I still need to ask your opinion? Do you remember whose belly you came out of? In these years, if it weren't for you to study in college, wouldn't our family be so burdened that we can't even afford a wedding house? It's all you who delayed your brother's marriage proposal. Is there anything wrong in returning the house to him now? A human being should know how to be grateful. I don't know how many times I have heard these words since I was a child. The reason why I traveled across half of China to work in Shenzhen City, thousands of kilometers away, was because I didn't want to hear these words again. Heavy burden? You don't know how heavy the burden is when you have a happy sex and don't take any measures. How heavy was the burden after giving birth to me? Did I delay him? Did I force him to get into fights when he was in school, so he couldn't even pass high school and had to work in a factory to tighten screws? Or am I forcing him, who is nearly 35 years old, to play games at home every day? My anger surged. I threw her hand away and rushed to the living room. Yu Guangyao, who was sitting on the sofa playing with his mobile phone, said directly, I'll give you 3 days to move out of here. What? Yu Guangyao asked lazily. What? Is this your house? He played the game without raising his head. Isn't your house my house? Why do we care so much about it as a family? Oh, so you know this is not your house, so you moved in just licking your face? And you also occupied the biggest bedroom? My dad was smoking a cigarette and glanced sideways at me. You're celebrating the Chinese New Year. Don't say such disappointing things. My mother chased me out and grabbed my ears hard. Your brother finally found his wife, but you, the younger sister, just don't help me. How can you be so vicious? Seeing their confident appearance, I suddenly became aware of it. I'm afraid they already had this idea in mind when they persuaded me to buy a house in the county 3 years ago. It was me who was so obsessed that I believed their advice and wanted to buy a house here at a low price when housing prices fell, thinking that it would give me a guarantee. I believed my mother's words and thought she was really just kind enough to come over to clean me up, so I gave her the key. The more I think about it, the colder my heart becomes. My sister-in-law stood aside with water in her hand and was stunned for a long time when she heard our conversation. This house is... Although this was the first time that my sister-in-law and I met, I had heard my mother talk about her beloved younger brother before. Presumably, as the daughter of the same family, she should be able to understand me. I held her hand, seeking her support. Sister-in-law, you were deceived by them. My brother doesn't have a house at all. I bought this house before, and now... Before I could finish speaking, my sister-in-law held my hand. The smile on his face was as bright as a flower, but his eyes were full of cold and decisive calculation. Duo, I have always heard from my mother that you are the most obedient and sensible child. You have made a lot of money working in Shenzhen City, so it is appropriate to buy an apartment for your brother here. While everyone is here today, let's go through the transfer procedures. I was stunned. I looked at everyone in the room. They were supposed to be my relatives. But now, they are all huddled together, with their mouths wide open, wanting to eat my blood and drink my flesh. It's really not a family. Don't enter the same door. Okay. I called the police directly. Hey, there is someone illegally invading the house here. Please come and deal with it. The 24th day of the 12th lunar month was originally a time when every household happily cleaned up and prepared to welcome the new year. But a police siren sounded downstairs in my house. The police knocked on the door. When the neighbors next door saw this, they opened their doors and listened. Some even stood at the door of my house holding melon seeds. Did you call the police? The policeman asked. Yes. Is this house yours? I hesitated. Yes. I took out the photo of the real estate certificate I took on my phone. Then they are. It's my dad, my mom, my brother, and my sister-in-law. The police took notes meticulously. Who is the illegal intruder? I pointed to a few people aside. That's them. The policeman pointed his finger and raised his eyes in disbelief. My mother crossed her arms, pursed her lips, and kept her eyes alert. My dad was smoking on the balcony. My brother was still lazily slumped on the sofa playing games, as if everything happening around him had nothing to do with him. My sister-in-law's eyes were red, and she sat next to him, wiping away tears. Compared to me, who was so aggressive, it seemed like they were the ones being bullied. The policeman burst into laughter. They are your family? How does that count as trespassing? Why doesn't it count? My family illegally entered and occupied my house without my permission and used it as my brother's wedding room. Even though I clearly asked them to leave, they still refused. This violated my legal right to reside, and I request the public security organs to handle it in accordance with the law. While waiting for the police to come to my door, I had already checked the relevant laws and regulations through AI. Even if this house is mine, they can't occupy it like this. After listening to my well-founded defense, the two policemen were stunned for a moment. Susher had never taken on such a case. They looked at each other and whispered to each other. Although this is the case, in this case, we still recommend that you have friendly negotiations with your family. After all, the Chinese New Year is coming soon, and no one will look good if it makes a big fuss. Negotiation? How to negotiate? If they just refuse to move out, how can I, a girl, beat the four of them? Thinking of this, my scalp suddenly became numb. I stepped forward and grabbed one of the police officer's arms. Uncle Policeman, I have a reasonable suspicion that my parents will do harm to me after you leave. After all, I am still single. Once I die, my parents will become the legal heirs of this house, and they can naturally occupy it. As soon as he finished speaking, the whole room was boiling. My mother stamped her feet and jumped 3 feet high like a fighting cock. You duo. You have to speak with a conscience. Have you forgotten how your father and I worked hard to bring you up over the years? My dad also shook his head. How could this child become like this? My brother finally raised his head and glanced at me. Stay away and don't rely on me. My heart felt chilly. It's precisely because I know so well how I've been through this year that I can't help but think of the worst. They've been drumming it into my ears since I was little. I didn't want you originally. It was your brother who said he wanted a sister, so I gave birth to you to keep him company. I am the extra one. They gave my brother a nice name, Yu Guangyao. And my name is Yu Duo. Much too much. Neighbors often tell me, when you grow up, you can sell it to Guangyao to get a wife. My dad was smoking a cigarette on the side, squinting, non-committal. My mother always said that the reason why my family has been so poor in recent years is because of the heavy burden of having a second child. But in fact, I know clearly that I grew up eating what leaked from my brother's teeth. My parents bought him milk. After he was full, my mother fed me the remaining drops of milk. When it comes to eating fruit, he always eats only the tips of the tenderest strawberries and the sweetest part in the middle of the watermelon pulp. I looked so greedy that I could only pick up the things he threw away in the trash can to eat. His parents buy him worksheets, but he never does them. I also picked it up from a pile of scrap paper that he wanted to sell when he graduated and made it secretly. But when my mother found out, she whipped me with a bamboo stick. I just said why I only sold it for a few yuan. It turned out that you stole it. I was in the cracks, bit by bit, greedily sucking in the light from the outside world. I made up my mind to study hard. Only in this way can I pass the exam. The further away from home, the better. I thought that after working, everything would be fine. But no. I only have a monthly salary of 8,000 yuan. After deducting 5 insurances and 1 housing fund, rent, water, electricity, and living expenses, I only have 3,000 yuan left. But my mother asked me to buy her a gold necklace and my brother a gold ring during my first year of working. It's like this in our family. It's etiquette. The gold necklace and gold ring drained my entire year's savings. On the day of payment, I sat at my desk and cried with my head buried in my head. The next year, she got even more serious and started asking me to give her 5,000 yuan a month. I'll save it for you and give it to you when you get married. That's what she said. Not to mention whether the money will never be returned. I simply can't afford that much money. I settled the accounts with her and told her that my life was not as glorious as she imagined. I thought my confession would earn me at least a little bit of heartache. But no. She just said with a cold face, why can't you save even 8,000 yuan in salary? Why can't you earn more? Is it because you don't have a good relationship with your leaders and colleagues? You should reflect on your problems more. Every once in a while, she would ask me for money under various pretexts. After buying the house, she asked me for money again. I said she had to pay off the mortgage, but she refused. She was quiet for a while. I thought she finally understood my difficulty. But unexpectedly, this was what she had in mind. Let me buy a house, I'll pay the mortgage, and let her baby son live in it. My mother, charging ahead. My father, a good old man whom everyone praised, was silent from beginning to end. My brother, on the other hand, just needs to sit back and enjoy the fruits of their fight as a matter of course. This is my family. Such a family. It's really hard for me not to think of them with the utmost malice. But the policeman inadvertently pushed my hand away and said with a smile, "No, you're thinking too much. We are all one family. How can a family speak two different languages?" He looked at my mother with a cold face and said, "Auntie, please calm down and treat your children better. We are almost celebrating the new year, so we still want to have a happy family and everything, right?" He looked at me again. "I have educated your mother. You and your family are doing well." I can't believe it. If you just say a few words that are neither salty nor bland, is that considered an education? I gritted my teeth so hard that my teeth broke the inner wall of my mouth. Instantly, a strong smell of blood spread between my teeth. I took out my phone and showed the pictures I had just received. House sales contract. Scroll down and my signature and fingerprints are clearly shown. Transaction date. Exactly 1 month ago. I'm sorry, but you are of no use in trying to kidnap me morally. This home is really not mine. I'll give you 3 days to move out of this house. The owner's family has been in trouble recently, and they will move here after the new year. Then they will come and cause trouble. Don't blame me for not notifying you in advance. Seeing this, everyone was dumbfounded. My mother snatched my phone away, gathered around my brother, my father, and my sister-in-law, and looked at it again and again. The policeman frowned. "Then why did you say it was yours just now?" "I came today to look at the house for the owner and clean it on the way. Because I didn't bring the sales contract with me, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to explain it clearly at the moment, so I said it was my house first. I just wanted to solve the problem quickly." Who knows, you actually think it's okay for family members to forcefully move in if the owner doesn't agree. I spread my hands. Then what else can I do? The police began to find it difficult to handle. At this time, there was a clang sound and the mobile phone fell from the sky and hit me directly on the forehead. My forehead was so painful that it suddenly bulged. "You unfilial daughter. In order to force your mother, your father, your brother, and your sister-in-law to move out, you actually spent money to make a fake picture. Who doesn't know that house prices have dropped to shit now? If you sell a house now, you have to lose all your down payment. Only a fool will believe that you really sold the house." The 4 of them stood aside with their arms folded angrily, as if they had reached a consensus. I opened my mouth, dumbfounded. I bought this house 3 years ago. It's off plan. But I regretted it after buying it. During the Chinese New Year last year, I went home to take possession of the house, and I listed the house with an agency at a low price. 6 months ago, a buyer took a fancy to this house and contacted me through an agent. They saw the house and were very satisfied with it, so they quickly signed an agreement with me. I spent several months raising money, paying off all the loans, and then signed a formal sales contract with the buyer last month. In other words, this house is indeed no longer mine. I don't know whether she really doesn't believe it or just pretends not to believe it. At the door, my neighbor was eating melon seeds and watching the fun, pointing at me. Neighbor A. Tisk, TSK, TSK. Today's children are too unfilial. How can they not let their parents and family live in their own house? Neighbor B. Yes, I'm still a college student. The more I read, the more indifferent I become and the darker my heart becomes. I don't even understand the most basic principles of life. Neighbor C. She also forged contracts and cheated, so she should be arrested and taken to the police station. The police officer frowned. My mother saw that the situation was great and plopped down on the ground. The show begins. "Oh, my life is really miserable. When I was pregnant with this daughter, I ate and spit out everything, and I was so thin that I was just a handful of bones. I didn't suffer that when I was pregnant with my son. When she was in school, I held her in the palm of my hand every day and didn't let her do any heavy work. I worked so hard that she could go to college. But now that she's working in a big company and has become successful, she turns her back and refuses to recognize anyone else. Do you think there is a bigger white-eyed wolf in the world than my daughter? In the past, every time my mother made a request to me, she would do it in such a sloppy way that I had to give in. The fingers of people around me were like needles, densely shooting at me. But to be honest, I don't care anymore. At this moment, my cell phone rang at exactly the right moment. It was a call from the buyer. Very good. You don't believe it, right? I got on the phone and clicked on public. "Hello, Mr. Chen. Hey, Xiao Yu, have you tidied up your house yet?" On the other end of the phone was a strong male voice with a thick dialect. He sounded like a big brother who was not easy to mess with. The surroundings instantly became quiet, and you could hear a needle drop. "It's being collected. It should be finished soon. What's wrong?" "It's like this. Didn't I say before that I would wait until my father's affairs are finished before moving? Yesterday, my parents went to the magician to do calculations and said that it would be better for the old man to die in his new house. If you finish the packing, I guess we will move there the day after tomorrow." I glanced at my mother. She was completely stunned, not even daring to take a breath. My brother and sister-in-law were also staring at each other. I let out a long breath. "No problem." I hang up. Look at them. Did you all hear that? I picked up my phone and looked at it. "So, you have less than 12 hours to move." My mother didn't let me go. She scowled angrily, ran over, grabbed my hair, and wanted to slap me. "Did you really sell the house?" "You unfilial daughter. You knew we were using your house as a wedding room, so you sold it on purpose, didn't you? You said you could work and make money, but you couldn't even get 5,000 yuan a month. We believed you, but we didn't introduce you to the person earlier. Now we want to sell it, but we can't sell it for the price. Look at other people's daughters. They got married early in exchange for bride price and gave their brothers or younger brothers a wife. How can they be like you? You can only watch your brother being an old bachelor at 35 or 6, but you are not impatient at all. You should have paid for your brother to buy a house. Now the house is still in your name and has a room for you. Why are you unhappy? You dare to sell the house behind our backs. You are really capable." In desperation, she spat out all her true words. Even the neighbors who were watching the excitement couldn't stand it anymore and shook their heads repeatedly. "Old lady, you can't say that. It's a bit too chilling." "Ha, yes. It is said that a mother is kind and her son is filial. Mother G, child talent filial piety." I didn't resist her, but looked sideways at the policeman standing aside. The policeman certainly couldn't allow someone to fight under his nose, so he immediately stepped forward and pulled my mother away. "Calm down. Otherwise, I will have to take you to the police station." The sister-in-law could only think about the conversation she just heard. She grabbed Yu Guangyao's arm and shook it. "What should I do? I really want to die here? How unlucky." Yu Guangyao was at a loss. My dad was smoking a cigarette and slowly said, "The certificate can be faked, but who knows if the phone number is fake?" After hearing this, my mother seemed to be inspired and sat down on the ground. The tone is still very arrogant. "That's right. Who knows if you just found someone to act here just to force us to move out? Don't think you can make me move out by just scaring me like this. It's not such a good thing." I spread my hands. "If you really don't move, I can't do anything about it. Then when they come the day after tomorrow, they will have to carry the old man and leave it at the door of the house. It's freezing out here and he might die on the spot." The sister-in-law cried anxiously and hurriedly pushed Yu Guangyao to let him make an idea. Yu Guangyao has been arranged by my mother since he was a child, so he doesn't know what to do. He could only look at my mother. At this time, the neighbors who were watching the excitement saw that the fire was about to burn themselves, and they became anxious. No way. It would be a good thing for a centenarian to die in a house, but it would be too bad luck to die at the door. It will also bring bad luck to our family. You must move today. Yes, since the house has been sold, it is no longer your house. There is no point in staying here anymore. Move out quickly. If you don't move, I will call the police. My mother was distraught and picked up a broom to chase people away. Don't move. I won't move even if I kill you. A gangster? What else can they do to me if I don't move? Since she couldn't listen to me no matter what I said, there was nothing I could do. Fortunately, the sales contract has been signed. At most, I can give the new owner a red envelope of 10,000 to 20,000 yuan as an apology. I left with the police. I found a hotel opposite the community to stay. The view is very good. You can just see the scenery on the opposite side. 2 days later, the new owner came to the door carrying the centenarian at home on a stretcher. When he opened the door and saw the 4 people in the room, Mr. Chen's face trembled with shock. What's going on? Who are you? After staring at him for 3 seconds, my mother picked up the broom and challenged him. This is my home. I haven't asked yet, who are you? You're home. Mr. Chen frowned slightly. He found a paper version of the house sales contract from a pile of luggage and threw it on her face. Take a good look whose house this is. My mother didn't even look at it and just tore it into pieces. If I say it's my home, it's my home. Get out of my house quickly, or I'll call the police. Mr. Chen rolled up his sleeves, revealing a blue dragon on his left and a white tiger on his right. The gold necklace around his neck jingled. My mother lost all her strength and collapsed to the ground. On the 26th year of the year, the family returned to the countryside dejectedly, carrying a bright red wedding quilt, a red suitcase, and various festive supplies. But for them, it's just the beginning. As soon as we reached the entrance of the village, the big yellow dog in the village started barking, attracting the attention of the whole village. The villagers were very surprised to see my mother and her family moving back to the village. Hey, your family didn't say they bought a big house in the city. Why are you back? It really opened my eyes. It was the first time I saw someone who moved into the city and could move back again. How could it not be possible? The old Chen family bought a new house in the city in order to marry a wife, but after marrying the wife, the loan was not repaid. The house was repossessed by the bank, and they came back. At least the old Chen family persisted for a year, and Lao Yu came back without even covering the heat of the calm? Ha ha ha. What happened to the new wife? I've already married. What else can I do? Help me pay off the debt. It's true that the bank is doing it to help people celebrate the Chinese New Year. A mouthful of spittle can't drown someone, but it can also make them sick enough. My mother could not swallow this breath and became anxious instantly. She threw her luggage aside and rushed to the village entrance to argue with those nonsense. Who do you think can't repay the loan? If my unfilial daughter hadn't sold the house behind our backs, our family would have been reduced to this. My life is miserable too. My mother was talking and getting ready to start the show again. Aunt Zheng twisted her mouth and rolled her eyes. Hey, didn't you say before that your Guangyao family bought this house with money they earned from stock trading? Why is there something wrong with your daughter this time? It's a shame that I believed you and asked my Junjun to learn from your Guangyao stock trading, but he almost lost all his money. At that time, you still had to say that my Junjun didn't know how to choose stocks. Now it seems that your Guangyao didn't make any money at all. Otherwise, how could he not even be able to afford a house? Aunt Li also spat on the ground. Bah, you deserve it. Before they moved, they packed up their things and threw all the rubbish in front of my house. They blocked the whole road. They would do all kinds of things to her, and they would look up to the sky. They just felt that they were from the city. They didn't leave any way for themselves, and they offended all the folks in the countryside. But I didn't expect, It hasn't even been 3 months, and Pian Pian is back. The ants at the entrance of the village pointed at my mother. My mother simply took action, bluffing and raising her foot to kick someone. Even if the ants are easy to deal with, they will fight with all their teeth and claws. You play and I play, and we perform a disco directly at the entrance of the village. My dad stepped forward and pulled my mom away. They're all from the village. Harmony brings wealth. Harmony brings wealth. Seeing the scene, my sister-in-law felt that she had been completely humiliated. She stamped her feet, covered her face, and trotted away. When I got home, my sister-in-law threw her luggage into the hall and showed off her cards. I'm going to sue you. Sue you for cheating on your marriage. What did you tell the introducer at the beginning? You said that Yu Guangyao graduated from college and worked in finance. He also said that he had prepared a wedding room in the city. What's the result? TV University. I still got a certificate of graduation. Doing finance? In fact, I just speculate in stocks and gamble at home every day. Buy lottery tickets. Forget it. Now, I don't even have a house. I'm just a young lady, and you guys tricked me into coming to this ungrateful country. My whole life is ruined. My sister-in-law was very emotional. Her lips were trembling, and her chest was rising and falling violently every time she spoke. And my brother is like a dead pig who is not afraid of boiling water. After his sister-in-law finished speaking, he lazily raised his eyelids. Don't you know what you are like? With your family's conditions, do you still want to find a college student? Someone who works in finance? There is still an apartment in the city. Go ahead and dream about your spring and autumn dreams. And is this the first day you know this? On the night of the wedding, you asked me to get the real estate certificate. When I couldn't get it, didn't you know what was going on? My sister has just come back. Aren't you going to deal with her too? Why are you pretending to be innocent and innocent here with me now? The sister-in-law's face turned red with embarrassment when she was hit on the key point. She clenched her hands into fists, gritted her teeth, and beat him hard on the chest. I'm already married to you. What can I do? You liar. I'm going to sue you for marriage fraud. I'm going to divorce you. My mother couldn't see her precious son being so angry, so she pulled her sister-in-law away and threw her into the corner. Enough. Divorce if you want. Ask your family to return the 200,000 yuan gift before the divorce. Otherwise, we will sue you for marriage fraud. My sister-in-law was stunned on the ground. She called her parents and told them about it. Her mother sighed. Hey, I've already been married. What else can I do? Just bear with it. It's okay to have a house in the village. At least I'll have a place to live. She said she wanted to return the bride price and get a divorce. Her mother suddenly became anxious. That won't work. We are going to use the 200,000 to buy a house for your brother. Your reputation has been ruined now. How can you get such a large amount of bride price if you get divorced and remarry? Mom, am I only worth the 200,000 yuan as a gift to you? My sister-in-law burst into tears. Her mother snorted, her tone cold and calculating. If you had studied hard and gone to college, you should have been able to get at least 300,000 yuan as a gift. Who told you that you are useless? My sister-in-law lost all her strength. But instead of accepting the reality, she found another way to fight. On the 27th day of the year, when every household has already started preparing New Year's goods, my family started cleaning the house. My father asked his sister-in-law to help carry water, and she directly picked up a basin of foot-washing water and poured it into the room. My mother asked her sister-in-law to help light the fire, so she dug out the ashes from the stove and wiped them all over the walls. Later, while eating, he smashed pots and bowls in front of everyone. If you don't make it easy for me, then no one will be able to have a good year. My brother gritted his teeth and almost made a move. My mother put down her chopsticks coldly. It's all your sister's fault. She has to fill the hole she made. On New Year's Eve, I went back home. Not to celebrate the new year, just to take away some things from my student days that were kept in the old house. As soon as I entered the house, my mother gave me a sly smile. My dad is still smoking at the door. My brother was basking in the sun and playing games. Duo, are you back? Mom made you your favorite glutinous rice dumplings when you were a child. Come and try them. She used chopsticks to skewer a glutinous rice dumpling and handed it to me. When I saw this dumpling, I had no appetite. They don't know that I don't really like to eat this, but they don't like it. If they don't like to eat, I can eat more. I took the dumpling, but didn't eat it. My mother smiled flatteringly. Duo, you sold the house. Do you still have some money on hand? I already guessed what she was going to say next. Look, it's not a problem for our family to squeeze into this house after all. Now that house prices have dropped a lot, tens of thousands of yuan can be used to pay the down payment. You lend some money to your brother for the down payment, and he pays the monthly payment himself. He will leave a small room for you in the house, so that even if you get married in the future, you'll have a place to live when you return to your parents' family. Do you think this is good for everyone? Sure enough, she was still interested in me. I waved my hand and said directly, I have no money. My mother's face turned livid instantly, and her voice rose an octave higher. No money? You just sold your house. How could you have no money? You won't live much longer anyway. Why are you holding on to your wallet? At this moment, besides laughing, I no longer know what other expression I can make. A year ago, during my physical examination at the end of the year, I was diagnosed with a shadow on my brain. I'm out of ideas. Although my parents treat me badly, when this happens, the first thing I think of is to call her. I thought she could at least give me some comfort, even if it's just in words. But what did she say? Brain tumor? That's a bottomless pit. Your brother hasn't married yet, and the family can't afford to treat you. It's useless for you to call me. I finally put you through college. I thought I could finally earn some money to support the family, but this happened. Even if I agreed to the Zhang family's marriage proposal a few years ago, I can still earn 200,000 yuan. You have to deserve it. If you were like this now, I might as well have thrown you into the ditch when I was born. Later, I went to several hospitals for review. It was discovered that the shadow was not a tumor, but the natural high position of the jugular bulb, which had no impact on the body. I didn't tell them. That remaining life was also a rebirth for me. I completely recognized the reality, and I would rather lose hundreds of thousands to make up my mind to draw a clear line between myself and my family. The first thing to deal with is the house in my hometown. So I listed the house online. And my parents probably thought that I had cancer and didn't have much time to live, so they occupied my house so unscrupulously. Thinking of this, my heart felt like being pierced repeatedly by a sharp knife. These are my relatives, my family. I looked at her and said, "Don't you know how much the house has dropped in the past 2 years? The entire down payment has been lost. You have to sell it." My mother muttered and walked away. She winked at her sister-in-law. My sister-in-law smiled sweetly and brought me a glass of water. Colorless, transparent, cold water. I took a sip. Then he went upstairs to pack his things. Half an hour later, I fell asleep among a pile of messy textbooks. "Hurry, she's asleep." This was my sister-in-law's voice. "This medicine really works. Last time I let her drink it, she didn't have so many problems." This was my mother's voice. "It was too late to drink last time. She sold the house long ago. We had to let her drink during the New Year last year." This was my brother's voice. "We didn't know there was this medicine last year. It had to be Shaoling." My mother said, "Hey," my sister-in-law sighed, "don't talk so much. Is the person here yet? This medicine won't last long." Coming. This time, it was the voice of a strange man. I opened my eyes quickly. "In front of you." My brother, sister-in-law, and my mother saw me opening my eyes one after another, and they froze in place like clay and with sculptures. On the side, a strange man was walking in, unbuttoning his belt as he walked. Seeing the astonished expressions of the three of them, he was stunned for a moment, and then he saw me staring at him blankly. "What's going on?" the man asked. My brother's lips trembled a little. "I'm awake. What should I do?" My mother looked at my sister-in-law. "Your medicine doesn't work? Are you sure your brother has used it?" The sister-in-law looked at her. "Don't ask me. I don't know either." My mother looked at the man and said, "Why are you standing there in a daze? If it doesn't work, force yourself. This bitch just needs to be taken care of. When the rice is cooked, she will get married even if she doesn't want. Don't worry, our whole family is here to serve as witnesses for you. You two are absolutely consensual. There's no problem." The man waved his hand, took a step forward, and held my shoulder. He opened his mouth greedily and leaned towards me. I struggled hard, and the harder I tried, the tighter the man held me. After leaving some resistance wounds and restraint wounds on my body, I curled my lips coldly. No panic or fear, just chills. I don't know how much gift money my mother took to sell me this time after she was pregnant for 10 months and finally gave birth to me. 200,000? No, I, a 30-year-old woman, cannot sell it for such a price. 150,000? No, my education and work can at least add some points. That might be. Both parties take a step back and choose an auspicious number, 188,000. Thinking of this, I still want to laugh. Here, appearance, education, age, physical fitness, which are given by God, or things you strive for yourself, are all bargaining chips that can be brought to the negotiation table when discussing marriage. Beyond that, it's pointless. I looked at the man, with a sneer in my eyes. My lips moved and I said word by word, "I'm sorry, I called the police." The siren sounded at the right time, from far to near. Everyone present was in a panic. The man didn't even have time to zip up his pants and ran away in despair. I ran downstairs and was stopped by the police. At first, a few people wanted to deny it, until I took out the video recorded on my phone. The video clearly shows how they came in to discuss making me cook raw rice. How did I let the man push me hard into the corner and try to use force on me? Everyone was stunned when they saw this video. They didn't know that before they entered, my phone was already recording video in the gap between the bookshelf. And the reason why I want to do this is because it's really hard for me not to think of them with the utmost malice. When I came home, my sister-in-law brought me a glass of water for me to drink. Colorless, transparent, cold water. If they don't treat me as a guest, they won't serve me water. But if you're entertaining guests, instead of tea, you need at least hot water. Cold water, so weird. I have to suspect that there's something wrong with that glass of water. When I went upstairs to pack my things, I made 2 preparations. Call the police. Record video. I don't dare to bet. But they still have any affection or goodwill towards me. It would be best if nothing happens. But it still happened. My eyes turned red, and I instantly transformed into Lin Dayu. He looked at the policeman, sobbing and wiping away tears. Yee. The policeman calmed down, took out handcuffs, and cuffed several people. "You guys, come with me to the police station." The man screamed that he was wronged. My mother gave me a fierce look, as if she wanted to bite off a piece of flesh from my body. My brother lowered his head and followed my mother numbly. My sister-in-law's eyes were red, and she murmured, "What should I do?" Only my dad was still smoking at the door. I just said, "You can't do this." I glanced back at him. There was no expectation, not even hatred, just boundless numbness. "But you never stopped me from the beginning to the end." He was speechless. Carrying everything I wanted to take, I followed him into the police car. Before leaving, I looked back at the place where I grew up. I think this should be the last look. On the way, my mind kept replaying the conversation between the few people just now. Then I remembered that when I first came home, my sister-in-law brought me a glass of water and asked me to drink it. I didn't become suspicious at that time. It was just because of my emotions that I was too busy arguing with them, so I didn't touch them. They had this idea from the beginning, not just trying to take over my house. You also want to eat me dry. Now that I think about it, I'm really scared.